All right, thanks, Noah. A local organization is making sure families in Fort Smith have food on the table this Thanksgiving. 5 News reporter Laura Castleman takes you to a traditional Fort Smith event honoring a remarkable legacy.
One more bag.
Having that small bit of hope on the table.
Over 3,500 meals were passed out to those in need in the River Valley for the Charlotte Tidwell Memorial Thanksgiving Food Drive, making sure everyone had something to feast their holiday spirits on this Thanksgiving. People lined the blocks as early as 1 a.m. to receive a free Thanksgiving meal, showing that hope was the first thing on the menu.
This is just a great thing that Antioch does here for families in need, and this is a big event for them.
This year's event also honored the legacy of Charlotte Tidwell, longtime founder of the program.
We celebrate not only Thanksgiving, but the power legacy of Miss Charlotte Tidwell.
Isaac Salazar is the executive director of Antioch and knew Miss Tidwell personally.
She started Antioch back in 1999 out of the trunk of her car, just giving out groceries to people she saw in need.
Mrs. Tidwell died last year, but the tradition she left behind continued to fill the community like a holiday table with volunteers who continue her legacy.
Did you guys already use this? Okay, onions. Thanksgiving is a time where people come together with family, friends, and just really provide an opportunity for them to convene with one another.
Hope is what inspires our families to do better and to have faith.
Today we celebrate legacy, service, community, and the goodness of God. Together we continue the mission. Together we honor Ms. Tidwell.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Laura Castleman, 5 News.
Thanks, Laura. Bentonville is working to make its downtown more walkable, and the new A Street Promenade is the city's latest step forward. The pedestrian-only corridor runs from Southeast 2nd to Northeast 3rd Street, with garden nooks, cafe seating, play areas, and food trucks. It's designed to connect parks and plazas through a safer, people-focused layout. City leaders say the space is part of Bentonville's Quilt of Parks, a long-term project to connect public spaces and people.
We can talk about the walkability, we can talk about the economic development, but the biggest thing that it does is it builds our community. We talk a lot about infrastructure, roads, water and sewer, public safety with police and fire, but community is the strongest type of infrastructure you possibly can have, and infrastructure like this is what builds that.
The promenade officially opened today, inviting residents to enjoy live performances, food, and community. Well, developing tonight, Fort Smith police say they responded to a vehicle and motorcycle crash with serious injuries involved. Police say they responded near Ingersoll Avenue and Highway 271. They said there would be delays in the area until the scene is cleared. We'll keep you updated with any new information on air and on our website, 5newsonline.com. Also developing tonight, the Maysville Fire Department responding to a haystack on fire at a residence off Big Springs Road in Gravette. A photographer arrived on the scene 15 minutes after the first truck showed up. 3 trucks responded. The Maysville chief did not comment on the fire, but did say they would likely be there all day putting the fire out. Meanwhile, a Russellville man linked with a white supremacist gang in Arkansas was sentenced for meth conspiracy charges this week. 44-year-old Troy Lodeholt pleaded guilty to intent to distribute meth charges back in April. More than 50 people linked to the new Aryan Empire gang in the Pope County area were charged in a state police operation. Lodeholt was discovered to be supplying large quantities of meth to known members of the gang. He was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. And Arkansas State Police also seized more than 300 pounds of illegal marijuana in a drug stop this week. They say they stopped 49-year-old Micah Hogue of Nevada on I-40 for a traffic violation and then found the drugs after a search. Hogue was charged with possession with intent to deliver and was transported to the Lonoke County Detention Center. And at the Capitol, President Trump says he will not support Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene anymore after she continued her push for the Department of Justice to release all files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In a social media post Friday night, the president took aim at Greene and said all she does is, quote, complain, complain, complain. He also said yesterday the representative was, quote, wacky. Greene says her push for transparency comes after speaking with alleged victims of Epstein.
These women have been waiting, some of them for decades. I talked to several victims that were raped by Jeffrey Epstein back in the 90s. And so this is information that has needed to come out for a very long time, and the American people have demanded it.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said this week a bill that calls for the release of all of the Justice Department's Jeffrey Epstein case files will be put to a vote next week. Meanwhile, the feds are reopening agencies and national museums after the longest government shutdown in U.S. history ended this week. The FAA gave the green light for more air traffic today, but airlines are still being told they'll have to cancel 3% of flights at the nation's 40 busiest airports. The 19 Smithsonian museums in the nation's capital have been reopening on a rolling basis this week, with all set to reopen fully on Monday. The shutdown left many tourists frustrated this week.
It was a little disheartening to kind of just see the city be a little bit more of a ghost town, but you know.
We've been here for 5 days, and so we were expected to see all the museums, but like I said, we booked over 2 months ago, so before the shutdown happened.
32 million Americans and 200,000 Arkansans who rely on SNAP benefits to afford groceries. Most people in the U.S. will see their food aid return on Monday. In Arkansas, recipients were expected to see theirs return on Thursday. Many relied on local programs to help them get through the food aid pause. It may not be one of the Rivers Valley's most well-known agencies to help the hungry, but it's certainly one of the most successful. And with food insecurity on the rise in the area, the demand at the St. John's Sack Lunch program is also on the rise. 5 News anchor Darren Bobb tells us about an effort to help the program stay on its feet.
We've been worried about this all year long, worried about SNAP benefits being cut back, how they were affected. People think we just serve the homeless population, but we serve anyone that comes.
Gene Koljeski runs the program. That's a ministry of St. John's Episcopal Church in Fort Smith, along with the help of 19 other churches in the area. The program served 73,000 meals in 2024, with more than 44,000 by the end of this past July.
We have the working people who are coming here. We have people with children. We have homeless people. We have adults. We have retired people. We also know that 50% of the people that come here take a meal home to a neighbor or to a child. So we're sharing into our community.
That program runs on a budget of about $122,000 a year, but that's being stretched thin with higher food costs. Koljeski says that's why they've started the 1 million meals served, Help Us Serve the Next Million campaign.
$25 will pay for 33 meals. Our concern is we can sustain this year, but we want to be here for years to come, and you do not want to deplete all your savings. And so that's why we are really focused on fundraising now, because we want to be here next year for the people.
And that's why she says it's important to gather as many donations as possible.
We are trying to help them, stretch that check if they're getting a check at the end of the month. And we have people who come back for more than one meal, and we know from our surveys that 80% of the people that come here say they have to skip at least one meal a month because they don't have enough money to get a nutritious meal.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, I'm Darren Bobb, 5 News.
If you'd like more information about the Sack Lunch program and how to donate, head to our website at 5newsonline.com and click on the Community Spotlight tab at the top of the homepage.